How can I write a book if all my best content is already on my blog? Now, I had seen this question, it was months back in Quora, and this person in particular had a cookery blog. And what they had done was they had posted all their recipes on the blog. They'd given away all their best content on the blog, but they were interested in writing a book, and they were thinking to themselves, well, if I've released all this content on the blog already, if I've already given these recipes away, how can I really expect people to pay for the same content again? How can I charge them for an ebook when I've already given all that content for free? So in that question I had covered a couple of things, and that may be something that maybe you are thinking about right now. Maybe if you have a blog and you have written articles on particular topics, and you've come to the point now where you have maybe a bit of an audience and you're looking to put together maybe a Kindle book, or maybe you're trying to sell your own ebook or report on your blog. You're probably thinking, well, how can I expect these people to pay for content that I've already given away for free? Well, that's what we're going to cover in this video. Now, one of the first things you can do is come up with videos. Now, again, as explained to this person who had the recipe blog, there was nothing stopping them from maybe putting all those recipes into a book, and again, selling that book as it is. But what you could also do, if you felt maybe a little bit guilty and you didn't expect people to pay for that content when you'd already give it away for free, I had mentioned, well, why don't you create a series of videos? Why don't you've already given somebody, the outline of that recipe. Why don't you actually create a video where you actually cook that recipe? So almost like a cookery show, you would go through your recipes one by one, and you simply just set up an iPhone or something like that in your kitchen, and then you just speak to camera and you just talk your way through the recipes. How many times have we seen a recipe book, or you're reading through a recipe and you've come to a part where it mightn't be too clear, should you use these tomatoes or not? Do you really need these tomatoes? What's the best way to cut this vegetable? Maybe you have all these beginner questions in your head, and because you have just a recipe, even though it might explain all the tips, 1 to 10, how to do the thing from start to finish, there will be some question you're going to have. What knife should you use? What pot should you use? What should you do with this particular part? Should you allow it to boil? What mistakes could you make? All those different things. And I had said to that person, even though they had, given away the recipes, there's nothing that could stop them from creating a series of videos that go along with those recipes, where you are cooking and talking to camera and explaining a little bit more of what's going on, what to be aware of, what you can get away with, what vegetables maybe you could add in instead, all those different things. And even though that is the same content that you have already given away, you're putting another spin on it. You're making it better for your audience. You're explaining probably questions that they're never going to get an answer to. Now, that was another thing I said that they could do, and that was to do Q&A videos. Now, again, you don't have to do a video. You could do it as a report. You could type it all out. But I'm sure if you have any people coming to your blog and they are reading through those recipes, they're probably beginner questions that they're coming up with. Again, coming up with what ingredients are the best ones to use. How can you find the best equipment to cook this recipe? What tools do I need? All those beginner questions. So why not just gather all of those up, or explain everything better in text? Again, you don't need to do it in video, as I said earlier, but you could come up with all these questions that you would expect someone to ask who might go through that recipe, and do some Q&A videos on every recipe of what to be aware of, how to cook it, and all those different things. And if you weren't comfortable talking on camera, just simply write that out, and that could be a companion report to that recipe book. Because yourself, as I said earlier, there is some things, even though they are explained really well, you are going to be confused about something or other. You're going to need something something clarified or explained that that person mightn't be aware of. So even though they might give you the best recipe in the world, it's probably not going to work out for you because you haven't got that little bit of knowledge that you need. Another thing then I had said to the person was, if they had already given the content away, those recipes away, I'm sure that person would love to have a shopping list. Now, if you imagine if you had a recipe and you were thinking, well, I'd like to make that tonight for dinner, what all do I need? Now, if the person who wrote that recipe had given you a companion shopping list for each one. You simply just print that off, take it with you when you are shopping, and then you have the exact shopping list. There's nothing worse than, thinking you like to cook something for the evening, you come home with 99% of the things and you forget maybe there's some herb that you need to take, or there's something you left out and you need to wait until the following day to get that particular thing. So wouldn't it be really, really helpful if you had like a shopping list or something like that, so that person was prepared and knew exactly what they needed to buy when they were down in the store and got it right the first time. And again, it's the same content, but you're being even more helpful to that person. So another thing then I said then too was a workbook, or maybe a recipe, because even though you might have, your 10, 20 or 30 recipes, I'm sure this person who is probably reading your blog is probably a big recipe lover. So what you could do, again using the same content you'd already created, go and publish a low content book. Now what you can do is you can create these books anywhere, but if you go over to a place like Canva, you can have loads of templates for coming up with workbooks. But what this person could do was to create a recipe book, and on the first 20 or 30 pages they would have all their recipes, but maybe for the rest, if it was a 100-page book or whatever, the other 70 pages would be completely blank. They would be just all lined, and that person could write in their own recipes as they maybe find them on the web, or somebody hands them a clipping out of a magazine or something like that. They can write all those recipes down in the book. But the best bit is that the first 30 pages is your recipes and everybody else's goes to the back of the book. And again, that is another product that your audience would have really loved to get. They would love to have maybe a recipe book or a workbook or something like that they could fill in. And again, you're not creating anything new, you're just simply reusing the same content you had before. So keep that in mind if you have maybe content you already have on your blog. Is there some way, like that person, could you do companion videos explaining how to do the technique? Again, not everybody learns well in text. I've often gone through books and come to the end of a chapter and didn't know exactly what piece of software I needed or what step I needed to do next. And if you if you add a companion video showing exactly walking that person through the steps, I'm sure they will be more than grateful. And again, you're not recreating anything new, you're just being more helpful to your audience. Is there any way you can come up with some kind of workbooks, planners, diaries, anything like that, low content that you can create and your audience then can fill it out? Recipe books, they can put in their own recipes, or could you have maybe some kind of some kind of diary or some kind of workbook that will give them the 5 or 6 steps that they need to do every single day, some kind of checklist. So this kind of diary kind of stroke checklist, so on Monday they know the steps that they need to take on Monday, on Tuesday they know the steps that they need to take, and they can tick it off each day so that they're actually progressing, and they have somebody, again it's themselves doing it, but they have some way of keeping a track on themselves, that they make sure they're following the same steps and doing the right process over and over again, so they'll get better results than they had got before. So think about that. Even though you might have all that content on your blog, and even though you might have given it all away for free, there's no reason why you can't charge somebody. Again, as I said, if you do feel maybe a little bit uncomfortable for charging for something you've already given away for free, see what additional bonuses you can add on top of it, all those different things, and you can actually take something that you've already given away for free and you can create a huge training course from it, a line of books and all those different things from that content. So if that's the situation you are in, don't think you can't create something from it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you've learned something from it, and if you have, go ahead and put it into use. The last thing I want to do is fill your head full of knowledge and not have you take action on it. So do take action on what I've told you if it's relevant to you. And if you'd like to know more about me, or you'd like to ask me a question in an upcoming video, reach out to barryjmcdonald@gmail.com. Or if you'd like to know more where these videos and podcast episodes are, again, do a search for Writecom, that's WRITECOME.com. And if you head over to the Writecom site now, we have a great free report at the moment, which is called Words from Wealth. And I'm going to show you 10 ways you can make money from your keyboard. And in one of those ways, I'm going to show you how to make money with a handful of words. So if you think that isn't going to work for you, or you'd like to challenge me on that free report, head straight over there, download it, give it a go. And again, you can reach out to me by email and let me know how you got on with it. So, as always, thanks for sharing your time with me again today. Take care and have a great day. Bye bye.